I was born and raised in Chile, in Iquique, and funny enough, one of the reasons I fell in love with wine, I would go visit my parents. Separated, and my dad moved to Santiago, and Chilean wine country starts literally in the outskirts of the city of Santiago. When they first started planting those vineyards, the city was much smaller, and as the city grew and grew and grew, now you can literally take the metro to, like, you can take the subway
all the way to
wineries.
Fahara, so she did all the driving. She's here now, and she goes, "We don't need your glasses. I brought my own." And I'm like,
that was the best part.
Yeah, I know. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I've two of my favorite things with two incredible people: wine and cheese.
I know, right?
That's all I need.
I felt at some point it was like a dying art because there was jazz, and jazz takes some real talent. It takes some real talent to play jazz music because a lot of it is live, a lot of it is riffing. You have to read your partner. You got to see where they want to go and kind of take it for a walk, as they say. And I thought wine was kind of the same thing because there's a lot of story to tell. There's a lot of fragrance to smell. There's a lot to taste. And a lot of people just don't want to waste their time learning, or they think it's too bougie. They think, I don't want to go to a wine tasting because I feel intimidated. There's a lot of people who are like, why do they swirl the glass? Why do you need to open it, decant it? So I have all these questions for you.
Perfect. Yeah.
But first,
I have answers.
Here's the thing about Fahara. You're from Chile.
I am from Chile.
Tell me about growing up in Chile. So you were in Chile and then you came to the U.S.
Yeah.
Tell me your story.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Chile, in the north of Chile, actually, in Iquique. And funny enough, one of the reasons I fell in love with wine was before I could really drink it. Well, before I could drink it. I would go visit my parents. Separated, and my dad moved to Santiago, and Chilean wine country starts literally in the outskirts of the city of Santiago, because when they first started planting those vineyards, the city was much smaller, and as the city grew and grew and grew, now you can literally take the metro to, like, you can take the subway
all the way to
wineries,
here's
some of this historical wineries.
People don't know about Santiago is it's almost in a way like, so you're surrounded by mountains, right? There's a lot of mountain range there.
Yeah.
So is that why Chile is such a vibrant place to grow grapes for wine?
Yeah, I mean, not just grapes for wine. Agriculture in general, Chile has been called like a paradise for agriculture because you have the Andes Mountains on the east, which border Argentina, and then on the west you have another mountain range that's called the Coastal Mountain Range, but it's in front of the Andes, heading west, and then you have the Pacific Ocean. So between those three things, there's just perfect climates. That there's actually a lot of different climates throughout the country because the country is as long as the U.S. is wide. People don't realize that. So if you were to put Chile in the northern hemisphere, it would go from the Alaska border all the way down to the Yucatan Peninsula. So the meat of the country, like the center part of the country, is really where agriculture really thrives. But another thing is that you have these protective barriers. So there's not a lot of disease pressure in Chile for agriculture in general. So in the north, you have the Atacama Desert, which is the driest desert in the world. And then in the south, you literally have Antarctica. So because of between the mountain, you have, the Andes Mountains, the driest desert, the Antarctica in the south, and then the ocean on the right, there's not a lot of places that now you have planes, but like by ground, it's pretty hard to get to.
I was in Dallas for a while, and I got to check out this winery it was at a Brazilian barbecue, and it was called Vic, and they brought 3 bottles of Vic, and I thought, okay, cool. And they're like, okay, this wine is special because it's Chilean, right? And these are some of our flagship bottles, so they give us some taste, and they're like, which one do you like the best? And I, put my number down. I forgot which number I liked. If you ever want to come and visit, here's a coupon for this and this and that. I'm like, okay, cool. And I look at this thing. This winery looks like a James Bond villain's lair. It's gorgeous.
It's stunning.
The architecture,
it's
you have to see. It's incredible.
And it's also the reason it's built the way it is because it's like self-sustaining, self-cooling. So that like it looks like it's just for aesthetics, but it's actually functional. So everything that they do is like through gravity, and then that if you look at the pictures outside, there's like a little lake, like little river thing.
Yeah.
So that water circulating actually keeps the cellar cold underneath, which is where they do the production. So there's like it's like what do they call these buildings that are like smart, like eco-smart buildings?
A green building.
Well, okay, so here's what I was thinking, because we should open a bottle first,
Yes, absolutely.
and get a tasting going.
Yes.
And then I want to hear about your story about, how you got into wine, because it's a very unique thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
So let's
I think we were talking about it and I got distracted, which happens a lot for me. I get distracted.
Michelle, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready for this?
I'm over here drooling.
So I brought 3 bottles. The first bottle that I'm going to open is actually a bottle of champagne. This is Le Grand Dame 2008 vintage. This is super, really, really special. The reason I picked this, I brought this from all these wines from my cellar, but the reason I picked this particular champagne, because it is from the Veuve Clicquot house, which is obviously a very well-known house. But this is Le Grand Dame, which is their tête de cuvée. It's their top of the line. It's a champagne that they don't make that often. They don't make a lot of it.
Nice.
And I'm going to show you how to properly open a bottle of champagne, because I feel like it's something that a lot of people don't do right.
Yeah.
And also a lot of people are afraid to do because of that. So you can either use your, wine key or not. They usually
To peel the foil.
Yeah, they'll usually have a tab. So you peel the foil.
Why is champagne coincide with New Year's Eve so much, and just New Year's Eve, and not casual, approachable drink?
There is a thought or in the zeitgeist that you're only champagne is only for celebration, which is absolutely not true. Mm-hmm. You should drink champagne all the time.
Yeah.
It's just wine with bubbles.
Yeah.
So you can have it in it.
Agreed.
Just wine with bubbles.
I mean, it is. It's wine that has carbonation.
I do drink it often, by the way.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Do you really?
That makes me really happy.
I went to the Veuve Clicquot Polo Classic.
Oh,
Nice.
Oh, you
Last
did.
year,
That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
That was so.
It's a fun event.
That was a fun event. Yeah, it's just so nice to dress up
Yeah.
and drink champagne and watch the game. Why not?
Yeah, and you're like in your big hat. It's so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
So we take off. We took that off.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you're undoing the cage, this part is called the cage. It is important to keep your thumb on the cork at all times because there is a lot of pressure inside a bottle. Yeah, it's about like 90 psi. So like think about your car tires.
Yep.
It's like 3 times that much.
Wow.
So you want to keep it on there for safety. And then to open it, you actually want to put the bottle at a 45-degree angle. Mm-hmm. And then you rotate the bottle, not the cork.
Oh.
And then it'll slowly start to go. The bottle's sweating a lot. So that's another thing you want to
So it doesn't slip out of your hands.
Exactly. And this is an older bottle. This is, like I said, 2008 vintage. 2008 vintage is considered one of the best vintages of the past century too. So we're really in for a treat. And the thing with champagne, I know that I brought 3 bottles, and that's a lot of wine to drink. We do have a spittoon, but this one we have to drink.
Wow.
This is the one we don't.
You cannot waste that.
Yeah.
It's very it's very aged.
Did you
right?
try that cheddar?
Oh, I tried a piece. I couldn't help it. It was cheddar aged 10 years.
Fahara,
and
it's very sharp, I bet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's very sharp.
Okay.
Oh man.
So as you turn the bottle, you'll feel the pressure, and then you just kind of move the cork over to a side
Oh, and it
let
lets it out a little
let
bit.
the air out. So it's not supposed to pop.
That was easy.
I was told a long time ago that it's supposed to sound like a proper lady passing gas.
Oh, there you go.
Good tips. Okay. I'm taking notes.
Like I said, champagne is wine
Yeah.
with bubbles. So you want to be able to, especially like a nice champagne, you want to be able to get the aromas. You want to be able to have the wine open up.
Right.
You want to be able to get your nose in there. You can't do that on the flute. So you miss basically
With the big opening.
an entire very important side of.
So you want to do essentially what you do with a glass of wine, you're going to do with a glass of champagne. Pretty much the same thing.
Yes, except for the swirling. You don't want to swirl too much because that will make the bubbles go faster.
Kind of like soda.
Yeah.
It'll go flat a little bit.
But you want to do the exact same thing. Yeah, so you want to smell it. If you're not getting to smell the wine, you're missing like 2/3 of the actual flavor profile because we taste through our nose.
Yeah.
The olfactory sensor.
It smells so good.
I smell apple.
Yeah.
It does have apple.
Absolutely. What kind of apple?
Ooh, that's a good question.
It smells like a red apple. Like,
You here's my thing. Why do people, now a lot of people hold a glass of wine like this. Why are you
don't
not
want to do that
supposed to?
especially with champagne?
I don't because it'll make it warm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So the only time to do that to a wine is if you're trying to warm it up.
Okay, so let me repeat that. So hold it by the stem because you don't want to warm the wine up with your hand.
Yep.
It's always by the stem. So
You hold it by the stem.
Fahara, this is going to be cheers to you for being on the show for the first time and driving all the way over here from
Oh.
LA.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you. Eye contact. Yes. Cheers. Cheers.
Ooh. Oh, man.
Yum. Oh, wow.
It's very good.
Wow. And that still has some serious aging to do, too.
There's,
What?
She's like, what are you looking at?
This is going to be the first time I get buzzed on camera in front of on my show. I can already feel it. I already know.
He's all,
I already know.
This is great.
No, here's the other thing. Why is it so important to when you open a bottle of wine to decant it? Meaning, and here's what decanting basically means: is you air it out. You kind of let it sit and mix with the oxygen. Why? Well, why do you do that?
Well, there's two reasons to decant. One is what you said, to air it out and to have the wine open up. The other reason to decant is if you have a bottle that has sediment, which red wine that has some age to it, even white wine can have some sediment to it, actually. But wine with age will tend to have more and more sediment, and you don't want to drink that. So you can decant it and leave the sediment in the bottle. So then you're not drinking, chunks.
I have a decanter. Did I bring it in? No.
No,
I
it's
have a
in
decanter. If you have a bottle of red,
Yes.
let me know and I'll decant that.
Yes. And the decanting in this case, because this is not an older bottle, would be to exactly
it
what
up,
you
right?
were saying,
Right.
is to open it up.
See-
So for oxygen to get in, as the oxygen gets in, it opens up the wine.
Yeah.
It makes the aromas come out more.
Right, because the way I look at it is, you open a bottle of red wine, right? And you drink it, and it's so strong and acidic, and it's like, ugh, right? But if you wait like a good hour, and if it's a good quality wine, and you let it sit and you air it out, my goodness, the flavor profile changes so drastically
Absolutely.
sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a subtle change. It's like, whoa, this is what it was supposed to taste like originally.
Yeah.
It needed to breathe.
It needed to breathe. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we call it like the wine is tight. Like sometimes
Yeah,
the wine is
yeah,
like
yeah,
really
yeah.
tight and they just needs to open up. So yeah, decanting is great for that. And another misconception is that you only decant red wines. You can decant white wines too. You can decant.
Okay.
That's true, huh?
You can
I didn't
decant.
think about that.
You can decant any wine that ultimately needs to open up.
I remember when I was very young, I thought I was very cool because I was the only one that I knew that liked wine. I had our friends come over and I'd pop a bottle of $7, what was it?
$2 Chuck.
Yellowtail. It was
Oh,
Yellowtail.
wow.
And it was like a Shiraz of some sort. And I thought it was so fancy, but I was like 21 at the time. What did I know? And that's what got me started in wine. It was honestly a $7 bottle of wine that got me started loving wine. And, to this very day, I say it's not the worst wine in the world. It may be cheap, but it's not the worst.
Oh,
It's-
for sure.
At least if you want to get started, not bad. Not a bad thing. But anyway,
Who got you started in wines, Freddy?
that's a good question. I think I got myself started in wine. I don't know who was in wine. There was no person, I don't think that, I don't know.
Like not your parents or anything?
No, they don't drink.
At all?
No. I mean, my mom does. Oh, she used to when she was younger, but no.
My parents drink wine, but
I
I
don't
don't,
know
think
why.
they know much about it. So,
You got to cut the foil.
Oh.
You're doing it wrong.
Oh,
You're
I'm
doing it wrong.
uh-oh.
Okay.
You're doing it
Let her
wrong.
show you.
I'll let you do that.
Okay.
Now that you already put a hole in it.
It's
Now,
okay.
keep in mind, my decanter is super foggy, so I don't know if I know.
They gotta
I'm
polish
gonna get you a polishing.
I know.
I'll
I know.
polish it. I'll get you a
How do you
polishing rack.
polish the inside of that?
So they actually sell these little like spongy things that you can twist specifically to polish
So more
your candles.
flexible or something.
Yeah, but even if you don't if you have like a drying rack where you could hang it upside down and you just polish the outside, it won't look as cloudy. It's just watermarks. It's just our water here is also super
Hard.
yeah.
Hard water.
Tell me about you. Why did you even want to get into wine? It's pretty unique.
My parents separated, and I started going to visit my dad. And again, the Chilean wine country starts in the outskirts of the city, so that was kind of my first introduction to going to vineyards, going to wineries, and seeing the same thing you said about sideways is like the passion, right? Like, and I was a kid, so at that age, I was like, why is this? Why is this drink, this juice, different than Coca-Cola or apple juice? Like, why are people so passionate about it? Why do they care so much? And getting to go on vineyard tours and getting to see the production side of things, it was just fascinating. So I became really curious and started just learning about it.
So you were just around it naturally because of family or because of your dad or?
Yeah. Just because.
So you were young and you just saw people drinking and you saw how the culture was and you were.
Yeah, but not even like, because the part of Chile that I'm from Iquique, which is in the north, which is in the desert. So like that's not where wine country is. So it was going down to what to me was the south, but it's more like the central region of the country, and getting to see all this. And it was because it was also so different than the terrain that I was used to, which was desert and beach. It was also just like, it was like magical, fairy tale land. So I was just like really intrigued and fascinated by it. And like, it was just so green, and there were animals and there were mountains that were like covered in great, like grapevines. And it was just so beautiful and so different to like the sand dunes I was used to.
Yeah.
Once I became of a drinking age, I started like really like taking classes. I even started a club with friends.
See, that's really cool. That's when you're really passionate about something, when you want to get your friends involved and start like a little club.
Well, and it was really simple. It was like, it started as a very basic, like, tasting group, but it wasn't even, it was just for fun. Like we weren't actually like analyzing the wine or anything. It was, everyone would bring 2 bottles. That's just how it started. But you had to bring them in a brown paper bag. And then we would open one bottle, and then the second bottle would go in the stash, and then we would, was ultimately the price. So we would drink, try all the wines that were brought, and there was usually somewhat of a theme where there is, at first it was just like red wine, but then it was like Spanish reds or whatever it may be. And we would taste them blind, and then we would just rate them from, if it was 10 wines that were there, like from 1 to 10. And then whoever brought the top wine, and we would do it by teams too. Whoever brought the top wines would get all the wines out, the second bottle.
That's
so then
so fun.
So it was, but you got to taste a bunch of different things and kind of start thinking about it in a more, just objective way, as well as enjoying it. And we were having fun, but we're also like, okay, well, we got to think about that. Like, do I like this one better or do I like this one better? And not necessarily knowing how to describe it quite yet. So then I started taking sommelier courses and classes.
Okay, so you have your friends, and it's so funny because, you got your friends together, kind of like how I got my friends together when I was in high school, and I built a little studio. It was a fake radio station, and I think I just invited my friends over, and we played cassette tapes with songs on them. And I had them come over. We talked about, the music and guest DJ this and that, and we recorded these tapes. Kind of like you got together with your friends in wine, and it was like every week we just did the same thing. And I don't know why they came over, because it was goofy. Nobody was listening to the show, but we did it. And it was, it went on for quite a long time, over at least 2 years. And from that point on, it turned into a career for me.
Right.
Same.
For you too, as well.
Yeah.
So I was also listening, and I'm thinking, okay, Which one of my friends would have started a wine club with me back in the day? Probably none. There was not one person in my life
My friends
that
either.
would have done a wine. They would have done beer. Oh yeah, for sure. They would have done beer.
Well, we had a book club.
Yes.
And we called it book club. There was no reading books.
Oh.
We told everyone we have book club this weekend.
Yeah.
And we got together and we just drank.
That's hilarious.
We did have one book, and it was one of those books that you open up and there's a bottle of flask in there. That was pretty funny.
That is funny.
So, I mean, truly, we had a book.
So you're starting your thing with your friends, and then at some point you decide, okay, maybe I can take this seriously and become a sommelier.
No, it was I had no idea. I thought I like wine was the thing that I spent all my money on. Like that's that's what wine was for me. And I was taking studying, taking classes, or I would the local wine shop would have a little seminar. They would be I was always going to all those things, but I didn't realize that you could work it. You could actually make money in wine, not supposed to spend all your money in wine. Until friends were opening, this was actually back in Cincinnati, because I moved from Chile to Cincinnati. So I had friends that were opening a wine and martini bar.
Okay.
This was, this is the early 2000s. Those were things that existed back then. But then on the wine side, they were like pretty basic. So they were like, you actually know a lot more about wine than we do. Mm-hmm. Would you be willing to come and help us kind of put the list together and maybe like help train the staff? And if you want to work a couple shifts.
Wow.
And I was like, wait, what? Like, that sounds awesome. Like I can do this. Like I can make money doing this. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of my first introduction to like, oh no, actually there are people whose job is to put together wine programs.
I'm assuming you were young.
Yeah, I was like 21. Like,
wow.
And you already knew enough about wines at 21 to be able to do that.
Yeah, because I had like my curiosity, my intrigue had started when I was a kid, like just from the winemaking side of things. So, so I was, like I said, I was learning about it before I was even before I was ever actually drinking it. Mm-hmm. Although I did start, I mean, this is an adult show. I'm from Chile, so I started drinking before I was drinking wine, in my teenage years. Mm-hmm.
A lot of people get intimidated when they go into the wine, lifestyle, I guess, okay, what kind of wine do I get? What kind of cheese do I get? What kind of, this is a Merlot. Okay. I'm having a steak. What kind of wine goes with? There's so many questions. And if somebody doesn't know wine, but they want to, it's a lot for somebody who doesn't know, rightfully so. They feel awkward and out of place there, and it's like,
Freddy's an old soul.
And I said, relax. I said, look most of these people they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're not professionals. There's some who they're probably behind the counter, probably telling you about them, but these people don't know what they're doing. Stop. Relax. It's all a facade. Just enjoy the wine. If you don't like it, don't buy it, don't drink it, whatever.
Yeah.
But I guess the whole point of tonight too, with using your experience is to kind of relax the soul of just get out there and try it. Just
Absolutely.
Get out there and buy it.
Absolutely.
Even if you don't know.
Well, two things to that. One is exactly what you said. If you don't like it, you don't have to drink it.
Right.
And I think there's, which is why I brought this spittoon. Mm-hmm. This is a very nice Zalto spittoon, which is like hand-blown crystal from Austria, same as these glasses. And the reason that I love bringing a really nice spittoon around is because there's, as I was mentioning to you earlier, there's this like stigma of like, I don't want to spit, like it feels awkward. It's actually good form, like to spit. If you really want to look like you know what you're doing, spit. Even if you don't know what you're doing, like it's like, oh, that person actually, because if you don't like it, you can also just dump it.
Yeah, I've seen people do that, especially if they're going to change to a different wine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's one that could be mixed in the same glass, of course.
And the other thing is, if you want to actually be like, if you're out in wine country and you want to taste a bunch of wines, if you actually drink everything that you taste, you're going to be wasted by the end of the day, and you're not going to remember anything or even enjoy your time. Mm-hmm. So, like, you can taste and then spit.
Do you remember the night we met?
Yes, at Gwen.
Before that. We were at
Freddy did not use the spittoon?
It was a busy day for me.
It was a scotch tasting.
I had not one thing
Yikes.
to eat all day. I'm not talking a breadcrumb of anything to eat. So I go over there thinking, okay, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm going to be having some food outside. Come through. And I got there a little late, so I couldn't go. So it was just, here's a shot, here's a shot, here's a shot. And I'm like, oh no, here we go. And I luckily, Chef Jessica Tiffany, shout out to her, gave me a piece of her sandwich outside from her backpack. And I think that sobered me up a little bit. Then you show up, and then I get to meet you for the first time. But I was pretty wasted.
Well,
that was fun.
Those things, they give you a spittoon. Like, you're supposed to spit.
Yeah.
Because if you taste...
Freddy used no spittoon.
No.
Well, also you were sitting outside, and I don't think there was a spittoon.
Inside. And the problem was it was like a circle, and nobody was spitting. So I didn't want to be the only one to, So I was like, luckily, I did okay, I think. I don't know.
I couldn't tell.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I had no idea.
Okay, so...
Okay. Can you explain how to swirl a glass of wine?
Yes. So once you know how to do it with just like from the stem.
I got to use the table.
Yes.
Because I felt like I'll spill it that way.
Yeah, it's easier on a table just to get your momentum a little bit.
So if I was going to say, if you're not comfortable doing that, you can always start on the table. If not, you're just kind of doing a little wobbly motion. And the reason that you're doing that is for the same reason we decant, is to get oxygen in there so that the aromas come out.
It's very good.
And
no, I'll tell you why. Because the first time I was with Fahara at Gwen, she ordered this bottle of wine, and I didn't know. I mean, I knew, but I didn't know. And this bottle of wine was really good. It was really, really good, and I don't think it was the type of bottle that would be appreciated by just everybody. And that's how I knew. I'm like, okay, all right. Well, she's legit.
What's funny about that is that there was this restaurant we went to. I used to run the beverage program, the wine program there.
Okay.
So I actually created the wine program at that restaurant because I opened it. And that bottle was a bottle that I had brought, like that was still left from my days, because it was a very, very like wine nerd bottle that, like, unless you have a sommelier basically hand selling it to you, no one's going to pick it out of, out of a list. So it was Rock Dunglad. And yeah, it was very, very like niche, obscure. So the fact that it was still there, I was like, oh my God, if they still have, I don't know if you remember, I even asked the sommelier, I was like, can you check if you guys still have this? And he took a while because he had to go search in the cellar because it was just that one last bottle left from back in 2016 that I would have brought that wine in. So it also had been sitting and aging for that much longer. And they still had it priced as to what what we had it priced when I brought it in. So I was like, this is a great deal. We gotta get this. I'll take it.
Today I went to Whole Foods and I went to go get cheeses, and they have all sorts of cheeses.
Oh, they have a
and
good
I'm
selection.
sitting there. So what I do, I pull up ChatGPT.
Right. And you said,
and
what
I say, okay,
is the best wine to pair with?
What are some good cheeses to buy for a wine tasting tonight? And it listed everything I need to buy. And so I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, I need Manchego. So I'm looking around and I'm like, okay.
Aged
so
cheddar.
I'm sitting there for like 10 minutes. And finally somebody comes up and he goes, hey, do you need help with some cheese? And I'm like, yeah, thank you.
Did you hear me calling?
And I'm like, do you know anything about cheese? He's like, that's why I'm here.
So they have a specialist for the cheese section.
Yeah, cheesemonger.
His name is Pierce at Whole Foods in the city of Rancho Cucamonga. So shout out to Pierce for helping me with the cheeses.
I'm asking for Pierce.
That applies to cheese. It applies to wine. If you're at a wine tasting, the people that work there are going to know more about wine than you do. Even if you know a lot about wine,
right?
They know more about those specific wines that, are being made there or are being sold there. I'm a professional sommelier. I do this for a living. But if I go to a restaurant and I know the sommelier, I will have a conversation with them. I always want to talk to the som because
you want to pick their brain.
It's their house. They know their list better than it would take me an hour to go through the entire list. I guess that depends on the size of the list. But if it's like a proper wine list, to go through everything and look at all the producers and look at the vintage and be like, okay, and this and this and that. And like, can I pick something quickly? Sure. But I know for a fact that I can have a conversation with them and tell them, I'm looking for XYZ. We're eating this and this and that. This is my price range. And they're going to give me their, top 3 options.
Was there anybody that mentored you that you were like, okay, I learned a lot from that person?
In wine, absolutely. I've had so many mentors.
Give me a story about one of them.
His name is Jared Hooper. And we opened, he hired me as his sommelier, which then I became the lead somm. But I did not want to work in restaurants because the hours. So
because of the
hours,
the weekends, you gotta work weekends,
you just,
and you won't have a social life.
Every weekend, every holiday, every night, like when everyone's having fun, you're working. Like that's So, so I had done every other side of the wine business, and I had already actually taken, at that point, I'd already taken my diploma course from, but I didn't. But I worked in wine sales. I worked at I'd worked at a wine shop. I did, I helped in Cincinnati, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't want to like be a floor sommelier and then, eventually a wine director because I didn't like the hours. So I was trying every route except for fine dining. And a friend that actually I had met in my diploma course introduced me to this gentleman, Jared Hooper. And he said, listen, you can have all the certifications and diplomas that you want, but you're not a real somm until you're until you're actually working as a sommelier, as a restaurant sommelier, as a and that's how you have to cut your teeth. I mean, you can know all the theory, you can pass all the tests, you can do your wine tasting with your friends, but if you want to be a sommelier, you got to actually work as a sommelier. So I was like, all right, fine. And at that point, I'd already been studying wine for quite a long time, so I had a lot of knowledge. And I was very nerdy about it, but I didn't have any like tableside fine dining service experience, which is a whole nother. I mean, if to pass the master sommelier test, like there are three different segments, and one of them is service, and service is one of the hardest. Like because it's I mean, even for the diploma course, there was a service aspect to it that I had to study for.
Okay.
Which is, how do you present the wine, you open the wine, blah, 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 but also like table communication, also depending on the type of wine that it's being ordered, the right glassware, how it's being opened, whether you should decant or you shouldn't, the temperature, all of these things, right? So I started working and he took a chance on me, even though I didn't have any fine dining experience. But I thought I was a pretty polished person, but can I curse?
Yeah.
Okay. I fucked up a lot at first because I didn't have prime example. You don't think about this when you're drinking for fun, or even not for fun, even if you're studying. Table of 5 or table of 9 orders 1 bottle of wine, which happens a lot in a restaurant because people don't realize how little wine is in 1 bottle.
Yeah.
Right.
There's not a lot of wine in a bottle.
Especially for 9 people.
Correct. And you have that a lot where they're like, oh, we'll just order 1 bottle. And you can suggest like, oh, well, would you like to have a second bottle? But if they don't, or sometimes, which is what happened in this situation, it was actually a collector dinner. So
a collector dinner? What's that?
Yeah. So when wine collectors get together to have
wine
dinner,
collectors, got it,
and then everyone's bringing a bottle, or the event has the bottles or whatever. But ultimately, you're not pouring full glasses; you're pouring tastes,
right?
And depending on how many people are at the table, you have to do that math of how many ounces you're pouring into each glass, and each shape glass looks different.
Yes.
So that muscle memory of how long it takes to pour an ounce, what an ounce looks like, or what 2 ounces looks like, or what 3 ounces looks like in different glassware, how long it takes to pour, depending on how fast you're pouring.
Sure.
Like all of those things require a lot of practice and muscle memory, which I didn't have. So there was this really fancy collector dinner, and everyone had brought their own bottles of, things. And it was, I think it was like, I think it was either 9 or 13 people. I can't remember, but it was an odd number. And you always pour the, whoever orders a bottle or brings a bottle last, you pour them first for them to check it. And then you pour everybody else, and then you pour them last. And when I got back to, and it was also an older bottle, and they didn't want to decant it. When I got back to the host, there was barely any wine left. So she basically just got like half an ounce because I didn't do the math right.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
no.
that was, I was horrified.
And you
right?
can't pick it up and pour a little bit in someone else's. That would just be not etiquette, right?
Obviously, like you're with.
You grab Michelle's here. Hold on a second.
Let me try to measure them all up.
You'd hope that the people that are at the dinner know
Would
each
do
other
that.
well enough.
Yeah.
Like, here, have
Right.
some
You
of
would
mine.
think.
But as far as like, you're supposed to be the professional, and that's a huge fuck up. Where like now I can pour one bottle for 30 people. I'm gonna tell you, no one's really gonna taste anything. But you'll get your
wet their
lips wet.
lips.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
There's a lot to it. I mean, there really is a lot to it, because you think, okay, well, you know what? I have a good
What is
flavor
it to pour in
profile.
wine, right? Like,
Yeah, to be able to fraction out and
Yeah.
for everybody, I would think, okay, well, let me leave a lot more for the last person, and then I'll just kind of trickle it down, but it's like,
If you have any extra,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
could
yeah.
always dab a little
and
bit
you
more.
should do that anyway, because usually people they might want to revisit. So you
Yes.
actually don't want to pour out the whole bottle, which is where like,
Here's the thing I've noticed going with friends and ordering a bottle of wine. I feel like a lot of people are. I bring up the word intimidation a lot. People are intimidated by price because a lot of times they don't even want to ask how much is this bottle. Is the restaurant going to bring me a $250 bottle of wine?
They'd
for
rather
everybody?
just order by the glass or something.
Yes, and they want to feel safe in that way. So that's probably also a reason why they don't order bottles all the time as a group, because at least from my experience.
but if you recall what I told you earlier, what I do when I go to restaurants, the first thing you do, talk to the sommelier, tell them what you're looking for, what you're eating. You can also tell them, if you don't necessarily know how to explain what you're looking for, you can say, I love this, I hate this. So if you can reference what you don't like, and you can reference, I really like this wine, and I really don't like things that are XYZ, or I really don't like this style of wine, and then what I'm eating, and then this is my price point, and tell them your price point, something between,
So it's important,
$80 to $100.
It's important to be honest and
100%.
talk to them.
100%.
Talk to them. Be real.
It's their house. They know
and-
they know their list better than anyone else is going to
And
know.
that's so important because a lot of people don't even want to talk and say that because
Which
there's-
is so funny because it's literally a service. Like this restaurant is hiring a person, paying them to be there to make your experience better. So when people are like, no, I don't want to talk to the somm, I'm like, you literally have free information right here. That's eager to tell you about, they're not trying to, because there's this misconception that the sommelier is trying to sell you the most expensive bottle, and that's not the case at all. Actually, quite the opposite. Usually, what we'll do is actually hide really good really good deals of things. We won't even put them on the list because we don't want someone to buy it based on price point. If it's a more corporate place, you can't do that. But there's hidden gems that you're like, wine doesn't have to be expensive to be good.
Right.
So talk to the person that knows the list.
Yeah.
And and again, tell them your price point.
And how do you know that someone has that service? Does it
Ask.
indicate it on the menu, or you just ask?
Do you have a
sommelier here?
is there a somm? Is there a sommelier?
I never thought to ask that, but we bring a lot of our own wine. So
Here, that's the other question. Okay, so some people don't know that you can actually bring your own bottle of wine and get it corked for a certain corkage fee. What's your take on that? What's your look on that?
I think it depends on the place.
Okay.
Some places, if you're bringing something that's really special,
Yeah.
if you're going to a restaurant that's known for, well, no, if you're going to a restaurant that's known for having a good wine list,
Yeah.
and
it's almost a slap in the face.
and you're bringing in your own wine because in your mind you're but just because you're trying to save money, then it's bad form.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
they're still having to do the service for you. They're still having to open it. They're
Yeah.
still having to bring the glassware. They're still having to top you off. They're
which
still
is
having,
why they charge.
which is
for the
why you get
corkage
charged
fee.
the corkage. Correct. If you're bringing something that's really cool and really special, and usually by the time you pay the corkage, It's actually
another bottle of wine.
It evens out. So I bring a lot of wine to places. I always call in advance and ask if corkage is allowed.
Yeah.
I bring wine because I have really cool things that I want to drink because I have a lot of wine and not enough time in the day to drink it all.
That's why we bring it.
But I also always buy a bottle. So like you bring a bottle, you buy a bottle, and then I always tell the staff to please taste it.
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
The wine event that you invited me to, okay, there is this wine. I have his business card.
Okay.
Really nice guy, and I can't remember the name, but I have it in my room.
Is it Coyle?
And I can't. I couldn't even tell you right now. But he had a bottle in there, and it was phenomenal. And he's like, "Yeah, just reach out to me, and I'll we don't send these bottles to people, but just call me, and I'll send it to you."
Nice.
Very cool. And I'm pretty sure you know him. So see if you can get that bottle for me because that bottle was just incredible.
Yeah. If you tell me his name,
I'll find the business card. But yeah, do that for me if you can. And that was pretty awesome. But continue.
You didn't get to see the masterclass, right?
I was so late to that event because I was coming from work. I think
Yeah.
I was so late. I don't remember. In fact, I was so late. I thought it was over. And so I walk in and I'm like, maybe I'm going to see her. And I do a round or two and it's some, beautiful wine event on some rooftop bar in downtown LA. Wow. And I finally see her for a brief second and she's taking a photo in front of the Step and Repeat or whatever logo they got. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, there she is. She's glowing. And I'm like, I don't want to. So I'm going to go over here and find another glass. And then by the time I came around again, never saw her again. It was like, she was gone. But it was a cool event though. I think I got pretty drunk by myself again there too.
Wine events are nice. That's nice.
That was a fun event. It was a collaboration between Wines of Chile and Spirits of Mexico.
Oh, okay.
And Vic was there too, by the way. So I got to talk to them at Vic. Yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah, wow. Vic. Well, not Vic himself, but
right.
not Alexander,
but representative from Vic.
It was awesome.
I think I need to expand a lot more. I love wines. I just think I need to try it from a lot more places.
Well, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
I think because of the intimidation factor, I feel like a lot of people are like, okay, I know I like this. I'm just going to stick to this.
Yeah.
Then you never know, like, what else you like if you always drink the same thing.
I think people need to have more like wine tastings at their house for parties, like on a Friday night or something like that.
Well, just like she said, you bring a bottle, I bring a bottle, you bring a bottle.
Yes.
And 4 or 5 other people. And that's enough. 7 bottles for 7 people. That's a lot of wine. And you don't have to necessarily open them all. But even if give the host 2 of them.
Even if you do open them all.
Yeah.
You don't have to drink all of it. Again, here's the spittoon.
Exactly.
Which we haven't used once.
Did we try this?
No, we didn't try this.
Okay.
Okay. So explain what people say when they say the legs. Like when you're mixing and stirring and you can kind of see the legs. Yeah. So, honestly,
down.
The legs. I've never heard of that. The legs?
Really?
No.
I'm so glad you've never heard that.
Me too. I'm glad I asked. That. Okay, good.
The legs mean nothing as far as quality goes. All that the legs are telling you is the viscosity of the wine. And there are 2 things that bring viscosity, which is sugar and alcohol. Mm-hmm. So that is all that the legs tell you is how, if the wine is high alcohol or if it's, if it has a lot of sugar.
What are the legs?
See them here?
Those look like, sometimes they call them tears sometimes.
The sediment of what,
it's not sediment. It's like
see the little legs coming down?
So basically the
streaks.
They're like little streaks.
The
little streaks.
I guess, yeah.
But also,
I see where the wine was because I could see a little residue. So that's what the legs are.
Well, let me show you.
Coming down.
They're dripping down like if there's streaks. See?
There's nothing dripping on my.
Look at mine.
Well, and that's
yours. Yeah, yours.
So that's the other thing is the.
You're drinking it too fast.
No, that's the other thing. That what detergent you use, what cloth, how you dried it,
okay, all that can affect it. All of those
things will affect it as well.
Okay, yeah. So it doesn't really matter.
No.
Okay.
Wow, that's really good too. So different from the rest of them. So different.
I know.
Yeah. So orange wines. I feel like are popping up more and more on lists, and people are talking about them, but a lot of people don't know what the hell it is. They're not. It's not wine made from oranges.
Yeah.
They just call it that because of the color.
It's very interesting.
So it's white wine made like a red wine.
To me, it tastes a lot. It's very grape forward. I think maybe more than this.
It's like spring in your mouth.
Yeah, it's very grapey. Like
yeah.
It's concentrated.
That cheese is really good too, by the way.
Goat
I want
cheese.
to.
Whatever
Is that
that
the
That's goat cheese.
Yeah, but is that the It's called something moon.
Yes, it is. I saw it because I opened it. I don't remember the something shepherd moon. Oh wait, I'm thinking shepherd because you said two shepherds.
Yeah,
I can't remember something moon. I'm not a goat cheese fan.
Really?
So I will not be trying that.
Is it too sharp for you? Or
I don't like the aftertaste of goat cheese.
That cheddar is something, man.
That cheddar is bold.
Yeah.
Aren't those crackers amazing? The rosemary.
So good. I love these.
Oh, that's a hell of a cheese.
What's your favorite one out of the three?
That's hard. I like all three for different reasons. I think I'm really enjoying this one because I've never had it before. So it's a nice new wine for me. This is a good champagne.
So you have to know every kind of ingredient flavor profile. I mean, just smelling it, tasting it, you have to understand. Like, okay, this.
Well, I mean, yeah, the blind,
like
the blind tasting, which
volcanic ash and thyme.
So the reason to know all those things for the test is ultimately for the blind taste, and so in order to the blind tasting, you have to know what the wine is, where it's from, what year it was made, all of that from just smelling and tasting a wine. So
what?
So in order to, and it's just, I mean, it sounds crazy, but it's just a game of deduction.
Yeah.
So in order to be able to have that amount of information in your brain to deduce that, you had to have tasted a whole lot of wine.
Yeah.
In that format where you're like breaking it down, like, okay, cool, I taste this and I taste that and I know. And then you do have to know history and you have to know like regional styles, and you have to know how do you figure out what year the wine was made? Well, because you literally have to know this was a hot year, this was a cold year, this was, this year was there was a lot of rain before this, blah blah blah. It's just there's a shit ton of information. That's crazy.
You gotta have a passion for this. I mean,
you have to really, yeah. I mean,
so how do you get started? Is there a Somm school?
Yeah, there are multiple like sommelier courses. The most popular ones, if you want to like do it professionally or get to that level, I would say are the WSET and then the Court of Master Sommelier. Those are the most popular and like the kind of the two paths that people usually take. And there's different certifications, but then there's also within those courses, there's also just more specific things. So like you want to be an Italian wine specialist or, like,
of course, yeah.
Or even, like a sake specialist or, like rice wine. There's, you can really go down the rabbit hole endlessly with this stuff. It's expensive too.
Yeah.
So if you don't work in wine and you want to do this stuff for fun.
Yeah. How expensive is it? Like what's like a general price range? It's like
a college degree.
Is it like?
No, it's not like, because I mean, I think these days like tuition for a semester is like $50,000.
Where's Merlot at these days?
So because of Sideways, Merlot had a terrible, terrible time for a long time, and it's starting to come back. What's crazy about that is that one of the things that didn't make it into the movie from the book.
It was based on a book?
Yeah.
Oh.
The author's, his name is Rex Pickett, Californian. He actually has he's written 3 other books, like sequels.
God, this is great. You know a lot.
To them.
He likes to read, so now he's going to go
look
for the book.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
Yeah, there's I believe there's only 3 books total, but yeah, they're like, so the other 2 are from different wine regions. Actually, the third one is Chile.
You remember Silence of the Lambs?
Yes.
He's like, I would like a nice glass of Chianti with some fava bean.
Yes.
Some fava bean.
Yeah.
Fava bean. That would be great.
Well,
but what didn't make it to the movie.
Oh yes.
Is that the reason that
Sorry,
he hated?
my attention's gonna. Just,
I know, same.
Pull me back in. Pull me back in.
The reason he hated Merlot so much is because it was his wife's favorite grape.
Oh,
his ex-wife's favorite grape.
Sense. Why do they take that out? That makes sense.
Right.
So that was in the book and not in the movie.
Correct. And that getting edited out literally like ruined the entire Merlot industry for the United States for years. And the other crazy thing, remember like the last scene where he's drinking like his most priced bottle out of like a styrofoam cup or whatever, like at like a fast food joint. It's like his from his collection. It's like his most prized bottle. Anyway, well that is actually it was a bottle of Bordeaux, and is actually that wine is predominantly Merlot. But if you are not a huge wine nerd, like that goes completely over your head.
Wow. So that right there is like, it takes somebody, I guess, who really dives deep into this to know this. And the fact that you knew this, I mean, that's such a big deal because it's just a popular movie.
Oh, and it completely Central Coast used to have a lot of Merlot planted to it. Like, I don't know if you, like the hitching post is featured in the movie.
Yeah.
Like they go to Santa Barbara wine country, right?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of Merlot planted there, and they had to rip up a lot of those plantings or graft them, not necessarily rip them up, but like they grafted them over to Pinot Noir and other grape varieties because the Merlot market in America after Sideways plummeted. Like no one would buy Merlot.
This?
And Merlot, and the funniest thing is that a lot of the most priced Bordeaux's are predominantly Merlot, and people they're like they love Merlot, they just don't know that it's Merlot.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know.
So how come I've never seen this?
The movie?
Yes.
We need to have a movie
I
night.
think
We
it
really do. What have we talked about? So many
came
movies.
out in like 2004 maybe?
Yeah, Alexander Payne was a director.
And it's like Paul Giamatti being him.
Great actor, by the way. Great actor, Paul Giamatti. Yeah, that was a really good movie.
There's another really fun movie called that's based on a true story. It's based on the Judgment of Paris. And I think it is called The Judgment of Paris. But it's another wine movie if you want to.
Oh, really? Judgment of Paris?
Yes. And it's based on The Judgment of Paris was it was so basically the French were considered, to have the best wine, most blah blah blah, and then California was a relatively new wine region, so they did a blind tasting where they blinded French wines against California wines, and California wine won, and it kind of put Napa on the map.
About that. Wow.
Blah 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 blah. I don't want to ruin the movie for you if you don't know what the Judgment of Paris is. So just watch the movie.
Okay, so what was the one bottle of wine that changed your life that you opened it up and you're like, holy crap, can wine be this good? I was very lucky to even be invited to I was already working in wine. But it was 1961 Gaia. Which is a Nebbiolo from Piedmont. The 61 is like one of the best vintages of the last century for those wines. And a friend who was a collector had it in his cellar, and it was myself and another girlfriend who's also in wine. And we were both young somms, and we loved Nebbiolo and loved Piedmont, and he brought it as a treat, and it blew my mind. 1961 Gaia. Yeah, I have a picture of it. I'll show you later. As soon as it hits the tongue, you knew then, or were you kind of already expecting? You already knew the bottle, so you were like, okay, this is going to be great.
I was expecting it to be really good, but I didn't it was just kind of mind blowing because of for a dry wine to still be so alive.
Yeah.
And just thinking about because sugar helps preserve things. So I've had really old sweet wines. I've had really really old fortified wines like Madeira, But that preserves them. But like just a straight up red wine made in the 60s. So like they didn't have the technology that we have today. For it to be like just the fruit was still there. It was still vibrant. Like it still had so much life. But at the same time, it was so complex. And, you know, when we talk about flavor, like when you're describing wine, there's primary, secondary, and tertiary flavors. I mean, this had like this
primary, secondary, and what?
Tertiary.
Tertiary?
Yeah. So like
You've heard
third,
of oh,
yeah,
got it.
Yeah.
Tertiary. Never heard of that
This,
before.
you know, this went down to 10 levels. Like, it was just, yeah. And also it's like a piece of history, you know, like.
I'm going to use that next time. Be like, oh, this song is tertiary this week. Does that make sense?
Please tell me when you
heard of
air it so I could listen.
in my life until tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
It's because it's not really used in everyday verbiage, I think.
Yeah, tertiary. Huh.
Yeah.
Like
it's a wine term. Like when you're, it's a wine term.
Tertiary. All right.
I mean, it's a word for third, but like it's used a lot in wine descriptions.
Have you ever had Opus 1?
I have.
How is it? Is it as grand as everybody says it is?
I'm not the right person to ask these questions.
She's like, I don't want to sound like.
I'm a
if you want me to
drinker.
take something out, I will. But I personally want to know.
I'm a Burgundy drinker. That's not my style of wine.
So you didn't like it?
I don't like those wines.
Oh, all right. So
what is that?
Opus 1 is like the $200 bottle of wine you can get like at Bevmo. You know, it's just like I think it's a cab. Is it a cab?
But like,
what else do you love about wine besides the wine itself? I'm talking about like the culture, the lifestyle it brings to you. In your experiences, what is that? What is it that you enjoy that really makes you happy about this industry?
It's history. Like it's history. It's people. Like it's been wine has it's in recorded human history since we've started. Like it, you know, it's in the Bible. Mm-hmm. But the reason people would drink wine so much if you could afford it. Back then, it was because it was safer to drink than water because the process of fermentation, like, you know, helps kill bacteria.
A lot of alcohol was
you.
safer than wine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Safer than water.
Same thing, you know, with beer in the regions that had more grain than grapes. But like.
So say that again. So you said like in like the biblical times that like water.
So the reason Jesus turned water into wine wasn't like to get lit. It was because it was safer to drink.
Like they didn't think about the non-filtration system, and we only had natural filtration, like spring water or mountain spring water, all that stuff.
And then in largely populated areas, you know, where like there's no like sewer, like we have, like there's just
stagnant.
Yeah, stagnant water. Like there's just so people died of cholera from drinking water more than any other disease. Like cholera is what killed most people back then.
That's
like
an interesting point that people don't talk about.
So it was actually healthier to drink wine than water. And distillation didn't come till later because to distill you actually really have to know what you're doing. Because you can kill somebody if you drink the wrong part of the distillation. But fermentation, you know, it's naturally occurring. It might not taste that great, but things will ferment.
It's interesting because it has been wine has been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the oldest full-on functioning winery that's been found dates over 6,000 years, and it's like a full-on facility that is in today's Armenia, and it was in a cave, and like it's not just there's older things that have been found that are like wine artifacts, remnants, but this is like a full-on functioning like wine production facility. And it's over 6,000 years old. I mean, it's like.
Why do they say it's wine and spirits? Is wine not a spirit?
Wine is not a spirit.
What is considered a spirit? And what
anything that's distilled.
Oh.
Yeah, vodka, whiskey.
Oh.
So to distill, so you have to ferment it first. So all brandy is distilled wine. So you make a wine first, and then you distill it, and then you get brandy, and then within brandies you have cognac, you have pisco, you have blah blah blah. You can ferment. I mean, you can literally ferment any fruit or vegetable, like anything that has sugar, that like will ferment.
Which is how they do it in prison.
So I've always wanted to know that because it's wine and spirits, and they're like, okay, so is wine a spirit, and what is a spirit? And that's interesting. So the alcohol has to be distilled for it to
become a spirit. Yeah,
to become a spirit.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Or booze.
Wow.
As I call it. So that's why wine's not booze.
Interesting.
In my mind.
That's incredible.
Is there any wineries that still stomp the wine, the grapes instead of using machinery to press it?
Like in Lucy? Mm-hmm. I'm trying my best not to ask too many questions, as I probably wouldn't if we were hanging out at a bar. I wouldn't be asking this many questions because it feels a bit.
Might.
It feels a bit stale. It could be a bit stale. So just feel free to enjoy.
No, but ask
cheese.
the questions. I love being asked questions because I also feel I don't like to lecture.
No, you're not lecturing. No, you're doing a great job. You're doing a fantastic job, and that's why I'm just learning so much. There's so much to take in.
Yeah. It is a lot.
It's a lot.
And it's a lot of information. I think that's another point that we keep going back to, which is that there's a lot of times people feel intimidated by wine, whether it's getting into it or going outside what your comfort zone is. Mm. The thing is that most wine professionals are just like me, and we're just like sitting in a corner, like full of information, and we just want to share it with you. What do you want to know? What do you want to know? What do you want to know? So it doesn't make you look like you don't know what you're talking about. Actually, quite the opposite, because I know a lot about wine. I've worked in wine for 15 years, and I've been studying it for longer than that. And I like to surround myself by people that know more about subjects than I do, including wine. Mm-hmm. And even if I might know something more about, whether it's, I may know more about service, for example, but a winemaker is going to know more about the actual production side. So, and asking questions, just ask questions, because that's how you.
That's so cool.
That's how you learn.
That is so cool. Well, here's what I've always said: a $50 bottle of Camus or something, right? Or any kind of good bottle of wine. Most people have only had cheap wine their whole life. Mm-hmm. And that's all they've ever had. Yeah. And that's all that they think is wine. But if you were to give somebody a fantastic bottle of wine, life-changing, and they drink it, holy crap, their perception of wine will always be different for the rest of their lives. Yep. But nobody gets to that opportunity for the most part.
I think another thing that people don't think about with wine and beverages in general, but specifically fermented beverages, because the distillation process gets rid of a lot of things, is it's food. So if you're, I know so many, not to stereotype, but it's the Valley mom that's in Pilates, watches everything they eat. They only buy their food at Whole Foods or Air One.
I could think of just 4 people that I personally know already that you know exactly what you're talking about.
Same.
And it's you care so much about everything you put in your body, but you don't think about wine that way. Mm-hmm. And it's just like that avocado was, and avocado is actually not even a great example, but that grape or that apple was,
that avocado toast
farmed with pesticides and all that. The same thing applies to wine, you know? So the way that when you're buying cheap wine too, if you think about the cost of glass is the cost of glass. Mm-hmm. The cost of shipping is the cost of shipping. The cost of labels, the cost of cork. And of course there's different levels, but the bottom line is going to be the bottom line across the board. Mm-hmm. So the only thing that's variable is the juice that's inside of it. Mm-hmm. So once you figure out how, this is the cheapest that the glass, the cork, or the screw cap or whatever it is, and the label, the shipping, the grocery store markup can be, how much money is left for the actual thing that you're consuming? Yeah. Mm-hmm. People don't think about that.
Out of what you're paying. Yeah.
Right. So are you even drinking wine at that point? Is it
or is it just water with some
a lot of people
colorant? No, seriously. You can very much make wine in a lab.
You can make wine in jail.
Yeah.
Facts.
The whole point I'm trying to make is there's people who you just cannot sell a good glass of wine to. They just don't. Yeah. It's not that I don't think they won't care. I just think they're more attached to the image of a wine drinker than an actual person who can appreciate a good glass of wine.
That's so foreign to me. Like, I don't, and perhaps I'm just so removed from that person.
As you should be.
As you should be. As I would hope so.
That like, I'm like, I understand being in that place if you don't know. Like, you don't know what you don't know. But like, once you learn, you still want to be there. It's like, that doesn't, it's just not register. It doesn't compute.
So you have to tell me, okay, so what, are you at a wine bar now? You own a wine bar? You run a wine bar? You own a wine bar?
Yeah.
And you've been there?
No, I have not been there yet.
So where is that one located?
It's in Koreatown.
I was just there.
When?
Like 2 weeks ago. I went to Koreatown, right where the Bruce Lee statue is.
Oh, I don't know where the Bruce Lee statue is.
That's Chinatown.
Okay.
But it's right by Koreatown. So I was just right there at Origami. It's a place where they take a picture. You put your hand on these nodes and you're in like a teepee kind of tent. And
your aura?
It reads your aura.
Oh.
And mine was like super rare, of course. It's like this weird rare. I'll have to show you.
Aura.
I'll have to show you a picture with it after this. Yeah, the energy you're giving off. So I'll have to show you the picture and say what they told me afterwards because you're gonna laugh at it or you're gonna be amused by it. So I'll show you after too. But that was a cool experience. I was right there, and I think we went from Chinatown and went to Koreatown to eat and at one of the hand roll. Gosh, I wish I remember the place. It was so good.
I feel like that's like the hand roll place. I mean, because most people like Korean barbecue is like the thing. If you're hungry.
Okay, so how did the wine bar come about?
So it's a dual concept.
It's not what's it called?
It's called Nighttime.
Oh, Nighttime.
Nighttime.
Okay.
So it's during the day it's a cafe, coffee, like incredible coffee, pastries, whatnot, and it's called 3 Time, and that was already existing. 3 Time was already existing. It opened in 2022, and then I partnered with the owner of 3 Time. And we got our beer and wine license, and then we opened the night concept. So it goes from 3 Time to nighttime.
Wow.
But it's time like the herb.
So it's coffee during the day and then a wine at night.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool.
And like really, so the coffee is Stereoscope, the roasters that they use, and like really, really, really good nerdy coffee. But also they do great, just fun lattes and stuff.
There's a place like that I just went to in San Diego. It's a coffee roaster and during the day, and it's a bar at night. And they make probably one of the best espresso martinis I've ever had in my life.
You were at a place that had the best espresso martini.
It was the best.
No, I'm talking about where you were at Mr. Chow.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Chow has one of the best espresso martinis ever.
Okay, so I'm going again to Mr. Chow. I will get an espresso martini just because you said they're the best. I have to try it.
That's cool.
Yeah, that'll be really nice.
I've never had the espresso martini at Mr. Chow's either.
The service is what gets me.
It's
phenomenal service.
You know what gets me since I was for a couple of years is the pairing of a good wine and a good food, right? Like a good piece of cheese.
Yeah.
And it's like you ever seen that movie Ratatouille?
Yeah,
yes.
Of course.
You know where he pops in the piece of cheese and whatever.
And his like whole world.
That really happens.
It does.
It does.
If it is paired correctly, or just oh my gosh, it is. And I remember being at a restaurant, and like a lot of great restaurants in LA, they all close. This one was called Sona.
I've never been there.
Yeah, and Raylene and I went.
Okay.
Yeah. So and it was my first time ever. So maybe that was probably why too, though. First time ever, and I had a wine pairing with the food, and it was mind blowing. My thought was, I cannot believe food and wine can taste this good together.
Yeah.
I didn't believe it was humanly possible. That's how good it was.
Yeah.
That's quite the experience for somebody to have been.
It's literally my favorite thing about like being a sommelier and working in a restaurant, like the long hours, working every weekend, working every holiday. Like it was what made it all worth it was doing because all of my restaurant experience is in fine dining and a lot of pairings. So having that be my job where I get to collaborate with the chefs and, you have to research, right? So so you're learning, you learn about the dish. First, the chefs give you just the recipe written, right? So like you get the ingredients, you get like how they're going to cook it, how they're going to prepare it, because that also makes a big difference on how the things will taste and the mouthfeel and blah, 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 blah. So then you get that. So then from that, you start kind of going down your own Rolodex of, okay, cool. That will work. This would work. This would work. And then you start pulling wines, and whether it's, sometimes you have the wines that you're thinking in your cellar, and sometimes you don't. And then you're reaching out to, different purveyors and
that's
getting samples and getting that. And then they actually cook it, and then you're actually tasting everything, and then you're seeing how it plays in your mouth and what it does too. Like, what is the purpose? I think for my style of wine pairings, I always want the wine to highlight the food. So obviously I want the wine to shine as well, but I never want the wine to overpower the food.
Right.
It should enhance it, right?
Absolutely. So like seeing things where you're like, oh, actually this is amazing and this works really well, but it kind of, mutes this flavor component or this spice that I think is really important to kind of shine through. So like just doing all that, like it's kind of like math, food math in your brain, and how the acid of the wine and,
it's a lot
and
of
the
science,
tannin
I feel
and
like.
and like the fat and the mouthfeel and the temperature and all of those things play with each other, and then you just put a perfect pairing on the table and you're just like, that's the coolest. It's just like the most gratifying feeling ever to have someone taste a wine, eat a food,
right,
and they're like, okay, that was really good, and then they taste it together, and it's like the ratatouille moment.
Wow.
You're like, woo.
Wow.
I learned that when I did my first wine and chocolate pairing, and then I did my first wine and cheese pairing.
Yes.
And they went from like the really mild cheese all the way to the super pungent cheese.
Right.
But it was also a very strong wine.
Yes.
So
yes.
They make you take a sip without it, palate cleanser, whatever, all that, and then take a sip without it. And then take a sip with it. It's like a whole different bottle of wine. That's what it tastes like.
You know where it can get me is like some lamb chop, right? You get some lamb, and you know how lamb tastes, right? Like well cooked lamb, and you have this red wine. I forgot what red wine it was. You take a nice small cut sliver of this lamb, put it in your mouth, and then it's almost like before you just take a little bit of the wine, and the way it goes down, it's pretty phenomenal.
Yep.
If it's paired right.
Yep.
And if it's not, it can also ruin a meal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I guess so. You're right.
I have a friend who's a chef that she does wine pairings, 5-course dinners with wine pairings. She's out of San Diego, so I just went for Valentine's Day. I took Justin, and it was nice. It was a 5-course, but it was 5 different wines. And we ordered the pre-bubbly. So they usually give you a glass for free in the beginning. We ordered the whole bottle so that we could have it throughout the whole dinner. Because I'm with you on the have champagne the whole time, and it was nice. You
need more champagne.
Yeah,
I do need more champagne.
I was gonna say the same, but I think I ruined my glass.
So I will. She's out in Orange County at a couple pop-ups.
Who is this?
In Orange County? It's my friend Erin Seeley.
Oh, you poured the
I did.
The red in the wrong glass.
I did.
It's okay. We
have another glass?
That's where you pour it in the spittoon.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to let you guys know we have a spittoon in front of us that's empty and clean.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Here, just give
in
me
your
the glass.
experience, what does that mean?
Oh, okay.
That means we're enjoying the wine and the cheese and the company.
She's all that means I hung out with a bunch of drunkies.
No. It's 3 people and 1 bottle per person.
Well,
it's 3 hours. We get
hey, we have time.
Michelle and I can party.
We can party. I mean, back in our day, we were a lively pair.
So
Michelle would have these parties at her house.
Oh my gosh.
Let me tell you.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if we ever talked about that before.
No, can we?
Yeah, I don't care.
Can we though?
Yeah, talk about it.
Do you need water? I can pull some water.
Oh yeah.
No, it's okay. It's actually better. It's better to rinse with wine anyway.
Fahara, let me tell you about Michelle. So Michelle was a popular kid in high school. And she was
and you were also?
No.
Freddie was my nerdiest friend.
Fahara.
No, I'm kidding.
Come on.
Freddie it was like a party crew time, all that. And he had friends in that group. I had
Fahara know
friends
about the
that I
party cruise
met.
time? Do you remember? Do you know about that scene?
The rebel / party crew scene.
She may not know about that.
I grew up in Chile.
Yeah. No, that's very. It's very unique to some.
Okay, so think
Southwest.
of like 1950s James Dean, but like boots.
Yeah.
And your pants are cuffed up. Pompadour, kind of how he has his hair now.
Yeah.
Kind of the greaser
Morrissey.
look, Depeche Mode, Morrissey. The guys
great
would
bands.
Exactly. The guys would dress like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where we're bumping the most annoying.
Yeah, and it was crazy because
ever.
a lot of these people would be so young, and they'd throw these all age nightclubs.
Yeah,
they were all
they
ages.
don't have those anymore.
I know.
They
I
used
honestly
to have them.
I feel like we grew up because I moved to the States in the year 2000, and I was a freshman in high school.
Okay.
And I feel like I got to experience the last of like I lost because it was before like cell phones were around, but not,
2000 was around the same time. Yeah, it's about right at that time.
Yeah.
2000.
It was a wild time. It really
It was. Let me ask you this. So you came to the States barely, and that's when you went to Cincinnati
Yeah, I was a freshman in high school.
in 2000. So I can hear an accent, but not as much as I would expect to somebody who came to the States already like a little bit older. I mean, I guess 14-ish, 15-ish, 14-ish.
Yeah. It's because we moved to Ohio, so like there were no one spoke Spanish, so I had to learn. I had
So
to
you
just
had to
like
be forced to speak English.
really quick. Yeah.
Wow.
I know, like I pronounce S's more.
Yes, you do.
Like, more pronounced.
Yep.
I guess the I's and the E's sometimes, but it's interesting. I'm actually glad you noticed it because a lot of people are like, "Oh, you have no accent." I'm like, "Well, you literally don't listen."
Yeah, I can hear it. I
It's
can hear
there.
it. It's just not like it's not
not
as
super
prominent
pronounced,
as other people. Like if some people don't have an accent, they're like, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
because I came when I was 4." And I'm
Right,
like, "Oh,
yeah, yeah.
okay, I totally get that."
How often do you go back?
I try to go home once a year.
Well, that's nice.
I didn't go back this past year, so I'm due to go this year. But yeah, I try to
when
go
you
home
go
once
back, like, do you go back where, like Santiago, or do you go like
now predominantly Santiago, and then if I have the time, I'll go to Iquique, which is the city that I was born in. I don't have a whole lot of family left in Iquique any longer.
So are they all like went down to the Santiago, or are they all just like all over the world?
No, mostly everyone is in Santiago. I mean, like my cousins and everybody just went to school, like moved to Santiago to go to school, and then got jobs over there.
What is Santiago like over there? Is it just like another major,
just another
Suburban area.
metropolis city? Just like
It has a great metro system though, like really, really, really.
I feel
great.
like every city has a better metro system than LA does.
Yeah.
we're
for
the
sure.
absolute
Well,
worst.
they're creating one just for the Olympics.
Yeah, exactly. And then once the Olympics are over, they're gonna just
Totally California.
bring all the homeless people back. But we're not gonna talk about that in this episode.
Like you can go back to your home right here. We just need to move it temporarily because
Right.
this railroad's going to be put through here.
Has the wine industry? I mean, it's changed. I know
A
that
lot.
it's evolved. What was it like when you were brand new into it versus the way it is now? What's changed the most?
Oh yeah,
That's a
good
great question. Funny enough, I feel like when I started, it was a lot more kind of what you're describing of like, it was intimidating to get into, and you almost, there was this perception that you needed money in order to like really get into wine. And I think now the overall, there's less wine drinkers now than there ever has been. Like there's just drinking in general. Kids are not drinking anymore, which
Well, that's bizarre, by the way, because I
know.
I
Like,
keep hearing about that.
I live near USC.
What are they doing?
There's no bar. Like the bars are empty on weekends.
Yeah, there's not a lot of bars near.
Well, see,
US.
LA, nobody wants to pay $20 for a drink either. So that's the other part.
No,
of
but
it.
even
It's almost
beer,
in
like
Vegas.
The truth is,
You have to do a
nobody
keg
wants to
stand.
pay.
But there's a lot of
as
breweries.
part of your, like-
there's a lot of breweries because that was like that's the thing now. Everyone opens a brewery. There's like 20 in Rancho.
yeah, but the kids aren't going. Like 21-year-olds aren't.
Yeah,
Now-
it's more like our age.
You know,
going.
no,
Yeah, it's sitting in in their dorms, whatever. Like
Is
on-
it
in
is
front
it
of
also
screens.
because like their parents drank so much too, and that's kind of like you want to be anti-parents?
I think
And
so. I think
Is that a
maybe.
part of it? Is that
Maybe,
really?
it could be.
Wow, that's
My
so
son
weird.
doesn't really drink. Damon doesn't really drink at all, but he likes wine.
I love that.
But he doesn't really drink at all. Like if I try to tell him to have shots with me or like drinks with me, he'll have a beer.
I could never drink with my mom.
Barely.
It was so awkward. It's so weird. I could never. Now, but see, here's the thing. My parents hardly ever drank, though. That's the thing.
Oh, his mom drank hardcore, so you know.
Yeah, well, we know that. Yeah. Well, hold on. Let's talk about your.
Because kids aren't necessarily drinking as much, but the natural wine movement, which technically, the skin contact, the Pinot Gris that we had would fall under the natural wine category. This is a very clean natural wine, meaning that it's quite literally it's not hazy at all. There's no sediment. It's been, it's unfiltered on fine, but it was racked. So there's no floaties. There's no flaws.
Yeah.
And there's no wine faults. And a lot of the natural wines that are really popular today tend to have faults, which is they kind of taste like kombucha. If you've tasted any. Yeah.
Here's the other question I got.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wines.
The craze of kombucha.
Doesn't it make you a little upset that a lot of these wines are now tailoring to their new audience, and their new audience just is what they're doing is they're just adding a bunch of sugar like it's a Gatorade.
Yeah.
And everybody loves it.
Calling it.
And they love it.
Calling
they
it kombucha, calling it wine, calling it whatever.
But look, there's a lot of sugar, of course, but what is your take on that though? Because I'm curious.
So there's the business sense take as a wine professional. I don't care how you start drinking wine. I just want you to start drinking wine because just like you said, you started drinking, a $7 bottle,
it's probably $12 now.
Yeah, exactly. Of Yellowtail. And that's what got you into wine. And now obviously your palate's evolved and whatnot. And I think as long as you start somewhere, then the more, the more the more you experience, and you'll actually, but at least just get people thinking about wine because wine sales and drinking is way down. Right. So in that sense, I don't care how you get into it. Just drink wine over seltzers, the ready to drink stuff. People don't drink wine anymore because kids aren't drinking wine anymore. I don't care how shitty the wine is. At least drink wine.
I don't have nothing.
Sorry.
I have nothing. I have nothing. I have absolutely nothing to prove. I have nothing to prove, and I have no reason in my life to try.
Absolutely,
to try.
Same.
And if I see somebody on a floaty in the summer on Instagram drinking a seltzer of some sort, it's just an eye roll and I move on.
Hey, I do that sometimes. Just because I like the river or the.
No, I'm not talking about you, Michelle. I love you, but no, I'm talking about just the people that just making me eye roll.
Viral videos
because you know what it is. It's just everyone following everybody, and their excuse is, well, when I ask them, so why do you drink that? They're like, oh, because it's light. It has 0 calories.
It has 100 calories, or
whatever. And I'm like, well, so does a tequila and ice, right? I mean, or the demo just maybe does not care as much as we like them to.
Yeah.
So how do we? I'm not even from the wine industry. You are.
Yeah.
But as just somebody who loves wine, how do we bridge the gap from someone who is very nonchalant and very whatever about wine, and say, hey, just because you can order that Truly just like that, but guess what? You can order the glass of wine just like that too and have a phenomenal experience.
This is this is literally what every major wine corporation is putting all of their money into right now is how do we turn the seltzer consumer back into wine? So to answer your earlier question, does it offend me that people want wines that are full of flaws? Personally, my ego gets offended, but my, because I'm like, oh God, you're drinking shit and you think it's good. Let me teach you something. But if I remove my personal opinions and ego from the equation, I'm just glad they're drinking wine. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it was made from, in a bag, in
$2 chuck.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, but that's the thing. It's not even that it's $2 chuck. It's just that it's it's cool because it's trendy because it was made in like someone's basement and like it's just so cool and it's natural. But when you come down to it, there's no definition to. And I'm gonna get so much heat for this, but I don't care.
No.
No, it's fine. There's no actual definition to what is like natural wine. Like there's no legal definition. Mm-hmm. So the term could be used and adopted by ultimately anyone that is like, so people think, it's minimal intervention. Well, both the Two Shepherds and the Missac are minimal intervention. Champagne by nature, in order to have the second fermentation happen, you have to intervene quite a bit. So even organic grower champagne, there's still quite a little bit of intervention. But what people think that natural wine is these days, and I know this because I own a wine bar, and people come in all the time and they're like, "Oh, do you have any natural wines?" And I'm like, "Well, technically all the wines that I offer are natural. But what do you mean?" And they're like, "Well, I want something funky." I'm like, "Okay, well, that's not natural wine. I do have something for your palate if that's like if that's what you're into, but that like doesn't make it natural." Like,
they're all natural because they all come from a fruit that grows in the ground. What do you mean? Yeah, like what? Clarify what you mean by natural.
Have people lost their culture as a city? And I say that not just as people, but as the city itself.
LA.
I think the pandemic took a really hard toll on culture. And I even talk about this with within wine culture, within like wine professionals. I came up with a lot of mentors. Mm. I mentioned one mentor. I have a lot of mentors who are still friends, who taught me, who guided me, and who told me like, you know, just like in music, just like in film, like it doesn't matter what kind of music you want to make, but to be a true musician, you got to learn the classics. Mm-hmm, like you got to learn where this came from. You got to learn the history. You got to learn, you know, like, and then you can go do whatever you want. And I think because that lack of mentorship happened during that, you know, those 2 years, 3 years, but really those like 2 core years, you have a lot of young wine professionals who never had mentorship. So they don't even know the classics. Mm. So it's hard to like even judge because no one taught you. So they're just kind of on their own, you know, and then they're just learning from their peers and then kind of stumbling upon things because also, you know, as we all were in our young age, like you don't like you think you know everything. So
there's all these local wineries that are so close by. Paso Robles is not far.
It's not far.
And, you know, if anybody could actually have that
drive too.
If anybody could have that experience of actually going to Paso Robles and staying there, it's like Disneyland for adults. You can go, it's like every little vineyard or winery is like a little theme park. They have their own little way of touring, you know, showing you how they make the wine, or they have a little picnic table up at the top of the hill.
Yep.
And it's the most unique experience in the world, and it's right here in our backyard.
Is Paso closer to you guys than Santa Barbara?
No, Santa Barbara I think is a little bit.
That might be a little closer.
And but Paso's not far from there.
Because from LA, like Santa Barbara County is closer. But I from here I don't know because I really don't know where.
we would take the 5. So it'd be the same thing.
And then Santa Barbara, you could take PCH or the 5. I think you can go either way.
But see, I want to go back to this because I think this is the most important part of the podcast. Bridging the gap between the average person, which is me and my friends, versus those who, you know, the wine industry. There and it's always been. It's because there's a perception, and someone very you know, well respected in my life said perception is reality.
Yeah,
someone's perception is reality. Mm-hmm. How do you change that? You know, and because wine's perception, I think, at least according to my friends, is, you know, oh, it's fancy. It's for, you know, for wine, upper class, man. You know what I'm saying?
All you got to just take someone and show them it could be what you want it to be.
Maybe. I think it's more than that because I've done that. I've taken them, you know,
they nodded.
And no, they'll appreciate it and they'll be like, all right, this is cool, you know, and I'll make them. I'll do my best to make them feel like I don't know what I'm doing either. But hey, I'm asking, I'm like, hey,
so I think we need to go to Fahara's wine bar.
We do. Yes. But the whole point.
So there's two notes to that. One is the one great thing about the natural wine movement is that even though like
what is the natural wine movement? Is that just like the wine industry in general, or
no? Though these are these like
the people who are into natural wines.
These like this resurgence of wine that's like
organic.
It's way beyond organic.
Okay.
It's minimal intervention, and you get like all these really funky wines that taste like kombucha and all that.
Right.
Even though, we made fun of it and said, oh yeah, so a lot of the younger demographic is drinking that, and the one great thing about the natural wine movement is that it did like demystify wine. So like it is not pretentious at all, and that's kind of the whole thing. It's like it doesn't matter. Like it's they call it glue, which means you just chug it like glue.
Yeah.
Like that's really like
I never heard that term.
That's where it comes from.
I'm gonna text you. Do you want some glue?
Yeah, you want some glue?
I want some glue.
Glue is just like wine. That's just like it's not meant to like. It's not meant to be like super.
Yeah.
Very drinkable fast.
It's just easy drinking. It's not complex. It's delicious. It's drinkable.
You don't need to have a pinky up while you're drinking.
It's porch pounder, like same thing. Like it's just like something that's just easy drinking. So the great thing about that movement is that it has done exactly that, where people are like don't think that wine is unapproachable or this. So a lot of the people that are just getting into wine are getting into it from the natural wine movement, which is great.
Where do you get it at? Like restaurants?
You get it. I mean, you get it everywhere in LA these days, but you get it at natural wine shops or wine bars. Mm-hmm. Most wine bars will have natural wine. Okay. You don't get it in Beverly Hills. There's no natural wine. they tried. One place tried. It did not work out. So because the demographic there is not that. It's like it's old money wine drinkers. So they want but the other thing that you were asking about the bridge, I think it's just drinking it and not making it like just drinking it. Like something that I do with people all the time who haven't had wine before, who are not wine drinkers, and they're like, "Oh, I don't really know what I like. Mm-hmm. I don't really know much about wine." I ask them, well, "What do you like to drink?" Mm-hmm. Like it doesn't have to be alcohol. Like, are you a tea drinker or are you a coffee drinker?
Yeah.
What do you like? Skim milk? Do you like fat-free milk? Do you like whole milk? Mm-hmm. How do you take your coffee? Mm-hmm. Like all of those things are telling me what your flavor profiles are.
That's the sign of a professional. I couldn't do that.
Do you have no? But like, are you a whiskey drinker or a tequila drinker? Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. Like if you like spirits that are aged in oak.
Yeah.
That's a certain profile.
Right.
Like,
and you can read that.
If you're a mezcal drinker or, that's going to, all of those things are telling me like you have a sweet palate or you have a savory palate or you like citrus or you like this or you like sugar or you like, so then I can be like, okay, cool. If you like if you're a tea drinker and we're talking booze, I'm going to be like, okay, let's try some Japanese whiskey.
Right.
If we're talking wine, like, I'm going to guide you towards more floral aromatic varieties that are like pretty light on the palate that aren't super oaky, that aren't really heavy, that aren't super tannic.
Good idea.
But
anyway, so my whole life dilemma with wine was, who do I drink wine with? And I'm glad that we brought this conversation up because there's a lot of people who, I guess have the same issue. When you do have some good life-changing wine, it can and will change your life, I think, and for the better,
But also, like, I literally show up with wine everywhere. Like,
that's
and
great.
nowadays,
we do that a lot too.
Nowadays, you can get really good wine in a can.
Yeah.
Like, Two Shepherds makes wine in a can.
Awesome.
Wine in a can.
Nomatica. It's
I saw it at the
LA,
forum.
The Nomatica.
No, I don't know. It was a wine in a can.
Yeah, there's a lot, and there's like it's really good quality wine.
Is it?
And yeah, like not all of them. They've completely have gotten rid of corks for the most part. So
why?
Because there's a lot of there's a lot of things that can go wrong with cork. TCA, when you think when you hear like a wine is corked, that's actually referring to TCA, which is a compound that's found that's found in cork wood, and when it touches wine, it goes in, like it actually seeps into the wine, and it makes it smell like a basement, like a moldy. Moldy. Yeah. And it ruins, and even if it's not that strong, it'll mute the wine. It'll get rid of the fruit. And there's just a lot of things that can go wrong with cork.
So I want to wrap this up, but I want to get to one point that you want to leave, Fahara, with everybody who's watching or listening about wine. About what is one thing that you want people to know about, or to be aware of, or to be relaxed about, or just to know the next time they're at the bar and maybe they're curious about a certain bottle or a label, but what is one thing that you can leave them with?
Wine is it's been, as we mentioned, it's been around for a very long time within in human history, because it's not just a drink, it's food. Wine is food. So don't be intimidated by it. Just like you don't like uni, but you tried it, and how did you find out you don't like it? Is by trying it. So I don't like red bell peppers, but I tried them and I found out that I didn't like them. So the worst case scenario is you try something and you're like, yeah, that's not my jam, and then you move on. But but the more than likely outcome is that you're going to be like, oh, wow, that's really cool. Or I really love that.
Yeah. Do you want to shout out your Instagram or social media, or how do people get a hold of you?
It's just my name. It's at Fahara, Fahara. All of my things are just at Fahara.
Yes. Wow. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then for the bar, it's at Nighttime Wine. So nighttime like NITE, and then time like the herb. So THYME. Nighttime Wine.
Nighttime.
Yeah.
Fahara,
all of my things are just my name.
Thank you so much for coming out
all
the way out here in the middle of the boonies of the Inland Empire, which
Montclair,
is
California.
Montclair, one of the smallest cities in California.
I didn't know.
We're here.
I didn't know this city was here. Actually, I was like, where is Montclair?
Yeah, it's only 2 exits.
Right, but we do have a big mall that's been here since for a long time.
There's a plaza. I saw that.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Fahara, thank you so much for being here, and
thank you.
So much that I learned, and so much that just went over my head because I've been drinking. But that's okay.
That's another thing. In order to be a professional, sommelier, you gotta be able to continue to learn as you drink.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I couldn't do that. See. But all right, Fahara, thank you so much, and shout out to you. Thank you for everything that you shared, and the incredible bottles of wine that you brought. So
give
it up for Fahara.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.